interview, and I'm going to request all of you to make your questions come alive, and we're going to have these guys over here rolling in, and you can raise your hand up and ask those questions to this prolific person. Ladies and gentlemen, more about him on the stage first, and then of course I will have him on this talk with me. Here we go. It's time for us to get underway. Let's get the video on the screen now, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Director, MSPL, Mr. Shrenik Baldota. Are you clapping? Are you clapping? Everybody, come on! Hey, don't stop clapping. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Shrenik Baldota, entrepreneur, adventurer, photographer, bird watcher. I mean, this is like a real honor to be with you. Thank you very much for coming by.
Pleasure is mine. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and young entrepreneurs. Really happy to be here.
Right, so you know what, I was doing a little search about all that you've achieved in your life, and I can say that this is absolutely phenomenal. You graduated in 1991. At the age of 22, you joined your own business, MSPL. I mean, for those of you who want to know kitne hazar crore ki company hai, you need to do a Google search on your phone, so I'm not going to get into numbers. But tell me one thing, when you already have such an amazing background of the family, and you have passion, you've just graduated, and I'm talking from the youth's perspective. I mean, a lot of them would like to know that when you had a choice of either starting something of your own or going and joining dad's business, why did you make that choice? What are the considerations that you made?
All right, I would say that I was not very good at education, so I had no option but to complete my BCom, and I had nothing else to do, A. B also was typically in a joint family business, you're groomed to think that you have to do this work. I probably rather had no choice. But having gone through the start, I typically started my career as probably I would say a supervisor in my organization, and it took me about 8 years to become a manager. So I went through the grill of going through each and every process. It was not typically like if you are the owner's child that you would go and have a managerial post or you become a director. I had to go through the process of understanding each job, because understanding each job gives you the completeness to respect work, also to appreciate what you really are doing and what you want to do.
Right, so you know, it's interesting that you said that. I mean, a lot of youngsters, when we have our father's business, the first thought is that you go in and you join in as a boss. Now, I'm just going to quickly get the audience in for this one. How many of you are, how many of your dad is into business? Raise your hands up, please. Okay, hands down. How many of you are in your dad's business? Raise your hand up. Okay, now this question is perhaps coming in from your side to him. So a lot of youngsters over there may perhaps feel that it's always okay to go join in, and the moment you're in, you get into control and command. Do people really accept you that way in the organization, especially those who have been in the company for so many years?
I believe that one, can I accept myself to be competent to be what I am going to do? Sure. I think that's fundamental. If I believe that I am competent, then I need to really respect and say, okay, I can be the boss. But if I'm not, it's more good to learn, because if you ask me, even if I'm a boss today in my own department or the company, I'm learning every day. And I'm learning from every corner of the office or the workspace or the factory. So I think it's more important that you focus in understanding rather than more of thinking who is the boss or the control. I think that's irrelevant. End of the day, a business is for an objective of either you are successful or you're going to make more money or you're going to enhance your portfolio. Being a boss is, I think, an added perk.
Interesting that you said that. So I hope that people understand it's not an ego issue, it's about learning. You just mentioned money somewhere. The topic of the session today is creating wealth. I want to ask you, I mean, what's your thought of creating wealth?
It's a very, I think it's a very interesting topic, creating wealth. I am 42 and like all of you here, very young boys, which I look up to as people with lots of ideas. Creating wealth, when I started as a business, I mean, let me tell you, we come from a very simple middle class background. So, you know, there are a lot of perceptions, but what is middle class? It's a very mindset thing. Basically, we come from a background where we were happy. And for us, the background of staying happy is more important. So when I say that going forward in creating wealth is not all about money or about power or about employment. It's about, are you able to sustain that happiness? You were happy as children. Can you be staying happy for a long time? For us, as we were groomed by our parents and family, our ethos was very clear, stay happy. And that is more of creating wealth.
So let me ask you, I mean, you're into what, leading? You can clap for that, absolutely. Keep cheering, I mean, every time that happens. I mean, let's make it very interactive. I'm going to come to you as well with your questions, but you guys are the leading iron ore mining company in the country, the largest producer of wind power, gases, steel, chemical, diamonds, gold mining, and you can still be happy and sustain that happiness, win that relationship, have time for each other. Do you think that's practical? Is it possible? Because a lot of people feel that to make money means you got to slog your butts off for as much as you can, and then you could just go crash on the bed. Is that the way it is?
I think you will have to work hard. See, I think a journey of any process, whether it's education or it is related to work, we have to work hard. We have to be out of the box, fundamentally in thinking. I believe that, I'll just take a cue out of this, and for the generation here, I think more important for you is to be more creative. The creative aspect of a human element is typically killed by the education system we grow on. So if you keep your creativity high, I think whatever Chenaraji just suggested about ideas, very inspirational talk, all these come very naturally to all of us. We are very creative in our thought. The whole objective is to maintain that creativity and the fire. So coming back, do you have time? Let me tell you one thing, very simple. I earn money so that I can create time for my family. I earn money so that I have more time for myself, not the other way around.
Let me just pause and get into the audience. How many of you guys think that what he said just now is actually practical and you are able to do that? How many of you have been victims of earning so much money that you invariably have no time for yourself or your family? And be honest on this. If the truth is yes, raise your hands up. Let's just get that right. So we have very few percent, so I think that's sorted out. That's pretty exciting. Let's move on to the other piece, and you just mentioned that, right? You spoke about ideas. When you're young, you join a business which is already so massive. You're the third generation. There's a traditional thinking of how business is happening and all that. And you come in young with loads of ideas. How do those ideas kind of really get taken up? And what happens when your ideas get rejected? As a youngster, if somebody wants to know that, what would your answer be for that?
See, the fundamental of a family business is the dynamics work very typical. But if the concept is about trusteeship, if a family business is all about, if you can imagine a trustee, if you think that you are not the owner and the trustee, automatically many of your myths about power, control, delegation is moved away. So if you believe that you're fortunate, I am grateful. If you ask me, I'm grateful that I am the fortunate trustee today, not the owner. So the minute you have the concept of trustee, it gives you the liberty of being free. Now, when you are free, that allows you lots of energy. And when you are in the family, if I, typically in my family business, there is also very important to have transparency. If there is no transparency, you cannot negotiate your idea, you cannot negotiate your thought process when in the organization, if you have 3-4 generations. So if you have transparency and the organization looks at if there's a good idea, it can be appreciated, then it actually moves up. It is not easy for a young generation boy to come up into a business and say, look, I would like this idea to be implemented. It's not easy at all.
So let me ask you, I mean, have you ever had a situation or an example to share where you had an idea and you had a little bit of difficulty in convincing or getting consensus from the rest of them, and that eventually proved into something? Any examples at all?
Oh yeah, I think I have plenty of them in my experience of 2 decades. I can name one. I had an idea of doing something at one of my plants in the mine, and the idea was basically killed because it was not possible. Everybody came from a mindset it was not possible because it was never done. Uh, it was 5 years that they tried and they concluded it can't be done. It was a typical production targets. So having idea killed was very disappointing. And then it came to a point 4 months later that we were squeezed and we had no option but to produce more. So suddenly somebody got a brilliant idea and said, okay, why not give you a chance? And I'm talking about an organization where I could be the owner's son, but there is a director sitting above me, there are general managers above me. And it can be very difficult to negotiate when there are 2 mindset differences. And believe me I had the idea, I implemented the idea. I said, I don't want to negotiate on a board table. I want it to be delivered. If it is not delivered, anyway, nothing's going to change. It took me 8 months to implement it, and by the same people who were doing this. So the idea, then what happens is the trust builds up. The confidence builds up when you can deliver. So I would say when you have an idea or a conviction, you must really mean it. If you don't mean it, you want to only create a block, then it doesn't work. But if you have it to make sure that you will do it yourself, then it can happen.
There's 2 messages rolled in one. One is don't give up on your idea if you have faith. And then the second is, of course, go ahead. And on the other side, don't become a block. At this point in time, I'm just going to interject for a moment and have a word with them. Ladies and gentlemen, in about 3 or 4 minutes' time, I'm going to start taking questions from you as well. So if you have questions, think about it. When I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, keep your hands raised so people can come and keep the microphone close to you and you can ask the questions there. Now let's go on to something more exciting. I mean, when you talk about big businesses, you talk about big challenges. And we know about the Bellary area and about all of those challenges. Life would not have been easy, but we read so many incredible things that you had absolutely no support either from the lobbies, from politics or otherwise, and you still had to survive, thrive, and come out victorious. Tell us something about that.
I think that's, it's more about understanding what you are for. I don't know if it's a platform, but I think I can transform the same question into a different way. My experience is, if I believe that I stand for good in my way of good, then I must stand by it no matter what. Just to give an example, what was happening about 4 years ago, I could have also surrendered, or we could as an organization of people surrendered to blackmail or whatever you call as hafta or pleasure money. But we did not, because we said, if we surrendered, let me give you a background. I was born in Hospet, I studied in Hospet, I move around freely. I know for sure my children are also studying there. They will not be able to do that because there will be total lawlessness. And my idea was that if we believe that we want to create a better environment, it is not always that I can also be on the fence and oppose. I better go in the battle and fight. If I don't fight, then I don't have a right. So if I have to fight for my right, I better do it or it will be snatched away. So we had a very tough time for 4 years with no business. Absolutely, I can't go into the detail of whether it was kidnapping or all kinds of stuffs happened. But you believe that you are right and you will stand up for it. Nobody can shake that.
I think that deserves a better, bigger round of applause, isn't that? Shrenik, thank you very much for bringing that perspective. And if I can just kind of take it back to people, I'm not sure how many of us really understand this. And the moment you find some kind of a difficulty in front of you, the classic sentence we say, "Ye sab karm ka khel hai," and you want to move out. But I think here's a man who's saying that, listen, he's grown and his family's grown, and not one, you're talking about 4 years of non-stop challenge, mental torture. But you had to be out there and go ahead and fight for what you believe was right. I think that is a message for sure to take away. I have one last question for you, and then you can start raising your hands up for your questions. Let's talk about growth. I mean, I rattled out some 10 businesses that you're into. How do you sustain growth? How do you keep that going? And do you ever say, that's it, we have enough, let's stop now? Or how does business go?
Look, one is to have an ambition, but more than the ambition is the basic resource is you. See, one has to understand, I have limitations of what I am, but I have the strength to have with me all of you. That means it's basically people. It's the people which makes the organization and not the other way around. So if you have the right people or you select the right people, that's a very tricky job, but that's a job to be done. If you have the right people, it is for sure the energy levels that you bring, the ideas that you bring on the platter is remarkable than what I think I would have even conceived 20 years ago. Because the vibrance at which this generation is looking, all of you are looking, is immaculate.
But tell me one thing, I mean, there must be so many people out here running their businesses, or parents running businesses. The typical syndrome that people have is that you're gonna move into a few lakhs of business, you push it to 1 crore, and that's a celebration. You push that to 5 crores, that's an achievement. Then pushed from 5 to 10, 15, 20 is where most people get blocked. What do you think is happening? Where are the people stuck?
I think you don't dream, or if you're dreaming, you're not, you don't believe in your dream. I think one has to dream big, A. Two, you also have to believe in your dream that you can do it. And let me tell you, all of us can do everything. It's only a mind block that you believe that I am not built for it. Just to give you an example, I am a commerce graduate, but today I handle all the technical side of the business, which is hugely technology driven. So it is a mindset. Because I knew it was a challenge and I had to learn, I learned the hard way, it can happen. So we have a block. If you can dream big and if you can make sure that your dream, you don't move your focus from the dream. You keep your north right. As long as you're keeping your compass and north right, nothing can change that.
That's very well said. In spite of challenges, just keep the north right. Right, absolutely, keep celebrating. Get those round of applauses going, ladies and gentlemen. Questions, anybody has one? Raise your hand up, please. Yes, stand up. And anybody else? I'm going to pick up 3 people so that we don't waste time on the microphones rolling. One is there. I'm going to give a chance to the youngsters first. If I don't have the youngsters, I'm going to go on to the slightly older age group. The lady there in the orange, you can stand up. Anybody else? That lady there in purple, you can stand up. Yeah, so 3 of you. Let's take your questions first, and of course we get moving thereafter. Yes, okay, let's take that question up from there. Is the microphone working?
Yeah, my name is Deepak Dhadoti. I am from Belgaum, okay?
Hi, Deepak.
Tier 2 city, hi. I came from New York to Belgaum and started an aerospace company in a house garage. I built an entrepreneur which was admired by Rashmi Bansal, and she wrote the book called Take Me Home. But I have a fundamental question. We all want to promote entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. But does Indian system exist to make and support entrepreneurship today? That is first question. Moment you become a 100 crore company, and if you want to become a 1,000 crore company, you are so much nullified in the everywhere.
So,
Even
sorry,
you are called.
I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I want the question. I want the question.
The question is, does really we want to promote entrepreneurship in this environment, or do we have to first change the laws, systems,
Right, we got
and then make it 1,000 crore company?
We got the question, yes, sir.
Look, I think you're coming from a mindset of frustration, but I would still say that the society is where it is, okay? But the most important thing is, do you believe you want to do it? If you want to do it, you will do it. Let's understand, entrepreneurship, what you say, if you can be an entrepreneur in India, you can be an entrepreneur anywhere else in the world. It's like driving in India. If you can drive here, you can drive anywhere in the world. So rather than being in the complaining seat, be on the driving seat by saying, look, there will be challenges, there will be bottlenecks, no matter what. I am going to do it. For us in India, when you are doing a business as a startup or as a mid-size or as a large, challenges are the same. You have to assume that these are going to be there. So that has to take your focus away. They will be there, they will multiply as the business multiplies. But most important is, are you capable to manage them? Are you managing it right? So I don't think you should lose heart on that. 2, what was the other question?
Yeah. Do we want to change the first laws and transparency, governance, we say, and then go for the big things.
Look, it's like that, you know. I say, look, I get married and I say, look, I want you to do all this for me, then I will be a good husband. I don't think it works that way. I have to first be a good husband, then it's obvious whatever I can expect from making a good family. So I think it's very procrastinating by saying that change everything. Change is going to happen. But I must tell you, you can be the change. But if you say, I'm not going to do, let everything become all right, and then I'll do it, I don't think you're focused. Stay focused.
Right, so I'm going to move on to the next question. We have 5 minutes to go on this one. The lady in the orange there. Introduce yourself and give me the question. Yes, go ahead. Your mic is on. Can someone run out, just get a microphone on for her, please. Volunteers, please make sure the microphones are always on. Do not switch them off at all.
Jai Jagannath to everyone. My question to Shrenik ji is, in all your thoughts, what you're telling is hard work. But in today's world, only smart work wants. What are your thoughts in this? My name is Lata Nahar and I'm a trainer.
Hi Lata, nice to have your concept of smart work and hard work. I think it is not a situation where it is either this or that. It is hard and smart. So I think it's not just if you work hard and you work smart. I think working hard and smart was in my generation. And your generation today, it has to be much more than that. So I would say if you are just hard and smart, you would be average. You have to be out of the box. You have to be creative. You have to say, what can I do differently what somebody else has not done in my profession?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to the lady in the purple there. Yes.
Hello, this is
Hi.
Harsha Badera. Sir, I want to know, how do you avoid politics in family managed business, or how do you bring transparency in a business?
All right, good question. Hi. As long as human beings exist, politics is going to be there. As long as women are there, there is going to be gossip. Okay? So I don't think I want to avoid politics. I would say how you can manage it. Now, to answer your question, if you have in a family business a level of transparency, let me tell you what is the meaning of level of transparency. Why do you do family business? Why do family businesses successful? Because family business comes from a background of being happy. You are doing this because you're happy. It's not coming from a point because I don't have anything and I want to do it. I can do what I want to do. I can do a job. But I can do more than that. That's why I build a family. I build a family with 10 people, 20 people. So family business comes from a general background of happiness. So when you are in that state, when you maintain a level of transparency, it is obvious that politics can be managed. Now, it is not about big and small, but it is more about how right you can be. So if I can answer your question, have I answered your question or?
Yes, sir. And another question.
No, I'm afraid I'm not going to take the next question, but I'm going to maybe give you a follow-up question, maybe on behalf of those who want to kind of take this further. It's not easy, right? I mean, you are the younger one, and the older one, and the older and the younger, trying to see if they can. I want to try and be the better of the other. I mean, the example of Ambani's, for example. I mean, what do you think went wrong?
I don't know about complain about. I can tell you what went right for me. One, communication. Very important tool in a family-run business or any business, for example. It's communication. Typically in my family business today, we talk every day. Meaning the first thing that we go to office is we meet together, all the three of us, and we meet and we communicate. Now communication is something which needs to be seamless, because that is something where there is an opportunity of somebody understanding or misunderstanding. Absolutely. So communication has to be seamless, A. B, very important in a family-run business is to ensure that when you are wrong, you accept that I am wrong. Because you are allowed to be wrong. If you ask me, I go every day to work. I do 10 decisions, 8 are wrong. Only 2 are right. But that does not mean anything wrong. That only gives me an opportunity to go back the next day to make those 8 right. So it's only a journey, it's not a destination. So in a family business, if you believe that the communication is right, then nothing can go wrong.
I think this is very well said. Communicate, and second, I think very, very crucial is accept that I made a mistake. I mean, you want to clap for that, yeah? You want to put your hands together for that thought. A very nice one. Sorry, I apologize, sir.
One sec.
I think I'll take that question from the gentleman. You're the first one.
One sec. I'll interrupt you, please. Shrenik I really appreciate your efforts towards sustainable happiness. Since morning, we have been talking about power of mind, networking, zero to hero, and growth and all the aspects of growth. Really thinking when JITO stands for Seva, Knowledge and Empowerment, and when our country is poised to become one of the youngest country in next decade or so, the point which bothers me, I know your family and what affiliation you have towards Seva. The point which is bothering me, and you can really throw light on that, that last 5 or more hours, we have not uttered a single word regarding Seva. These youngsters, these young adult men and women achievers who are going to be the rulers in the world, presenting our country, being the youngest country in the world, and the thought of yours of being happy, doesn't it finally boil down to try and make others happy, to be yourself happy? And that message has not been going down. Please throw light on that.
That's a
Thank
very
you.
nice question, but I can only throw my wisdom on this. I believe in one thing, in my experience, that happiness is only happiness when it is shared. I can get 100 marks, I can achieve what I want to achieve, but if I can't share it with Rahul or you, I can never be happy. I think it's somehow happiness has that stigma. Coming back to your question, I think it is a very inborn or latent thing within us to give. If you see entrepreneurship or a family business, it also comes from the same background that I am grateful that I can do something more, and because I can do something more, there are people of 1,000 people or 4,000 or 10,000 people can be served. Now, your question is Seva. Now, I think this also is very critical I don't know if this is the right platform, but meanings and definitions change over generations, and one has to adopt to that. What was typically right 20 years ago need not be right in the same definition. So Seva in one term 20 years now, from before and now, has to also transform, because in this generation, it is not about more about networking is already there. Communication is already there. It's all about how you can open your heart and love more. Now that is more important rather than saying that, can I give, am I going to be doing a contribution?
But I must say that you've been modest on that, because your family has been huge giver. You yourself, I mean, I know about plantation is just one part of it.
But I'm fortunate. Let me tell you, I think it's again, mindset of people. We are fortunate that we have this privilege to do it.
So why don't I just ask you this last question? Jainism is all about seva, like the gentleman said. It's about giving. And CSR, that's a big thing for you and your family. Tell us a little about that as I wrap it up. And what do you think is your message for the youth when it comes to growing, creating the wealth? But what do you do with that wealth? That's the final question that perhaps I may ask you.
Okay, I can only say that, look, everybody tries to do in his best possibility, like we have tried in our best possibility. I just don't want to say something, but I can give a practical experience. When we sustain to grow, and we have grown, but that does not mean, when we were also very small as an organization, we had adopted a village. Today we have 25 villages adopted. So it is not that it happens only when you have money. According to me, wealth is not what I have. Wealth is what I can give. So if I could give then, I need to have a heart to give. I would give in every possible way. So the whole idea of giving has to be inculcated, because the minute you feel you can give, you automatically become wealthier. It's like success breeds success. When you give, it comes back.
It's amazing philosophy, isn't that? Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to give him a big round of applause? Come on.
Pleasure's mine.
Well, I wish we had more time. We really ran out of time on this one. If you want to give a last message to these youngsters, business perspective, career, creating wealth. A lot of youngsters out there are looking out for jobs, not creating jobs. One final message, the legacy that you want to leave behind, or the message that you want to give them, what would that be?
I would only say that I look forward to you, look up to you, not forward, look up to you as a generation, because I'm a firm believer, the world is yours. Go chase your dream, grasp it. Don't get distracted. But most important here to understand that is not money what you're chasing. Time is the only limited resource. You have to utilize your time. B, you must make sure that you stay happy. It is not money which is going to make you happy. So what is sustainable is only happiness. Money is something which will come. It can come in plenty, it can come in less. Best things in life are free, like air and water. So don't chase that, chase your dream. You have absolutely to believe that out of the box, creativity is important going forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, in conversation with Shrenik Baldota, you want to give him the biggest round of applause that you can. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Shrenik.
much, it's a privilege. I'm very happy.
Stay with us right there. I'm going to request Amit and Rishabh to kindly come forward and present a momentum to you. Are you clapping? Hey, hey. Just keep that going. Don't you ever stop. Hey, hey. Thank you very much, Shrenik. Pleasure. And well, as Amit, may I request you to escort him down.